Hey there, language lovers. Welcome back to Speak Up with Chloe and Mark, the podcast where we make English feel less like a textbook and more like a chat with a good friend over coffee. I'm Chloe.
And I'm Mark, and today is honestly one of my all-time favorite episodes. We are talking about the snowball technique, or, as some teachers call it, the layering technique. Think of it like building a snowball. You start small, then keep rolling it downhill until it's absolutely massive.
No grammar textbooks, no boring drills. Just a real conversation, 100 everyday sentences, loads of idioms, and by the end of this episode you'll be speaking in long, confident, natural English without even realizing it. So buckle up. That means get ready, hold on tight, because this is going to be a cracking episode. And cracking, by the way, is brilliant British slang for excellent or fantastic.
Let's kick things off, meaning let's get started, with the big question. What actually is the snowball or layering technique? So imagine a tiny snowball sitting at the top of a snowy hill. You give it a little push, and it starts rolling, picking up more snow as it goes, getting bigger, heavier, and more impressive with every rotation. The snowball technique does exactly the same thing with sentences. You start with one small, simple idea, your core sentence, and then you add information around it, one piece at a time. And the beautiful thing, beautiful here meaning the most impressive quality, is that every layer you add is something you already know how to say. You don't suddenly need a huge vocabulary. You use what you've got. That means you use your existing knowledge, and you build from there.
Spot on. And spot on is a wonderfully British idiom meaning exactly right or perfectly correct. You'll hear it all over the UK in casual conversation.
Chloe, why does the snowball technique actually make people more confident speakers? Because a lot of learners come to us saying, I know the grammar, I know the words, but the moment I open my mouth, my mind goes blank. Why?
That's such a real and common experience. The reason is that when you try to produce a perfect, complete, long sentence before you open your mouth, your brain basically overloads. It's too much information to hold at once. But when you use the snowball technique, you only need one thought to get started. Then you keep adding. Your brain relaxes because there's no pressure to have the whole sentence ready before you begin. And this is exactly what native speakers do without even thinking about it. We don't plan our sentences in advance. We start speaking and add details as we go. It's completely second nature, and second nature means something you do so automatically and naturally that it feels like an instinct, as if you were born doing it.
Couldn't have put it better myself, which is an idiom meaning, I completely agree and I couldn't have said it more accurately. Right, let's get into the actual technique now.
Right, let's dive in, meaning let's begin, with the simplest possible sentence. Ready? I drink coffee. That's it, that's your snowball. That's layer 1. Now watch what happens. Layer 1. I drink coffee. Layer 2. I drink coffee every morning. Layer 3. I drink coffee every morning before work. Layer 4. I drink coffee every morning before work to help me wake up. Layer 5. I drink coffee every morning before work to help me wake up, because without it I'm absolutely useless until at least 9 o'clock. Did you notice what we did? No difficult vocabulary. We just kept adding context. That's the circumstances or background information that makes a sentence richer. Richer, here means fuller, more detailed, more interesting. We added when, every morning, where, before work, why, to help me wake up, and how much, absolutely useless without it. Those are your 4 layering questions: when, where, why, how much, to what extent.
Let's get into our 100 daily routine sentences, all built using the snowball technique. First topic, waking up. These are sentences real people say, or at least think, when they first open their eyes in the morning. Sentence 1. I wake up at 7. Now layered. Sentence 2. I wake up at 7 every weekday, even though I'd much rather sleep until noon. I'd rather means I would prefer to. Sentence 3. I always hit the snooze button at least twice before I can bring myself to actually get up. Hit the snooze button means press the button that delays your alarm so you can sleep longer. Bring myself to do something means manage to do something unpleasant or difficult. Sentence 4. I scroll through my phone for about 10 minutes before getting up, which I know is a terrible habit that I keep meaning to break. Keep meaning to means intend to do something but keep failing to actually do it. Sentence 5. I stumble to the bathroom half asleep and splash cold water on my face, which is the only thing that truly wakes me up. Stumble means walk unsteadily. Sentence 6. I brush my teeth for exactly 2 minutes every morning. My dentist would be so proud, and yes, I do use a timer. Sentence 7. I have a quick shower, and when I say quick, I mean 5 minutes maximum, because I hate wasting hot water, even though standing under it forever is genuinely tempting. Sentence 8. I pick out my outfit the night before, which sounds obsessively organized, but it genuinely saves me about 20 minutes every morning. Obsessively organized means extremely organized to an almost excessive degree. Sentence 9. I make myself a strong cup of tea, the kind that could strip paint, because I'm completely useless without caffeine. Strip paint is humorous hyperbole, an exaggeration, meaning the tea is extremely strong. Sentence 10. I usually skip breakfast during the week, which I know is bad for me, but I'm always running late and something has to give. Something has to give means a concession must be made when you can't manage everything.
Sentence 11. I listen to a podcast on my commute. That's my journey to work, because it makes the trip feel so much shorter and I feel like I'm doing something productive. Sentence 12. I check my work calendar first thing in the morning so I know exactly what I'm up against for the day. Up against something means facing a challenge or difficulty. Sentence 13. I get to the office, grab a coffee from the machine, and spend the first 10 minutes settling in before I can face anyone or anything. Settling in means making yourself comfortable in a new environment. Face here means deal with or confront. Sentence 14. I go through my emails first thing, because if I leave them, they pile up and it becomes genuinely overwhelming. Pile up means accumulate in large quantities. Sentence 15. I have a team meeting every Monday morning, which, if I'm being perfectly honest, could easily have been an email. That's a very relatable workplace observation. Sentence 16. I try to tackle the hardest task of the day first thing, while my mind is still fresh. This is sometimes called eating the frog, which means doing your most difficult or unpleasant task before anything else. Eat the frog is a famous productivity idiom. Sentence 17. I keep a detailed to-do list, because without it, things fall through the cracks. Fall through the cracks means be missed or overlooked, especially when you're busy. Sentence 18. I try to take a proper lunch break instead of eating at my desk, because I've found that stepping away from the screen actually makes me considerably more productive in the afternoon. Sentence 19. I hit a wall around 3 in the afternoon. That's when my energy crashes and I can barely keep my eyes open. Hit a wall means suddenly run out of energy or motivation. Sentence 20. I wrap up my work by 6, make a list for tomorrow, and try not to check my emails again until the next morning. Wrap up means to finish or conclude something. See, we need to start small and then add layers. Example, I go to work. Layer 1. I go to work. Layer 2. I go to work by train. Layer 3. I go to work by train, which takes about 40 minutes. Layer 4. I go to work by train, which takes about 40 minutes, and I usually spend that time reading or listening to a podcast. Layer 5. I go to work by train, which takes about 40 minutes, and I usually spend that time reading, although, to be honest, I quite often just end up staring out of the window and zoning out. Zone out is a phrasal verb meaning to stop paying attention and let your mind drift, usually because you're tired or bored. Notice how, to be honest, works as a discourse marker, a phrase that guides your listener through your thinking. Others include, actually, having said that, mind you, to tell you the truth, and, to be fair. These little phrases are the glue that holds spoken English together. They sound incredibly natural and give you a split second to think about what to say next. And notice that the layer 5 sentence got longer and more interesting, but we never used a single unusual word. That's the beauty of the technique. Everything clicked into place naturally, like puzzle pieces fitting together perfectly.
Now let's talk about sentences related to work. Sentence 21. My colleague puts her heart and soul into every project, and it genuinely shows. Put your heart and soul into something means give something your absolute maximum effort, passion, and dedication. It shows means the result is clearly visible to others. Sentence 22. I try to batch my tasks, meaning group similar tasks together, because constantly switching between different types of work drains my energy. Drains your energy means gradually takes away your energy. Sentence 23. By 4 o'clock, I'm running on empty. An idiom borrowed from cars, meaning you have almost no energy left, just as a car runs out of petrol. Sentence 24. I count down the minutes until I can clock off. And to clock off means to officially finish your working day, often by recording your departure time. Sentence 25. My boss has an open door policy, meaning she's always available for questions and conversation, which makes the whole team feel much more comfortable raising concerns. Raise a concern means mention or bring up a worry or problem. Sentence 26. I get on really well with my team, which makes a world of difference when you're spending 8 or more hours a day together. Makes a world of difference means has an enormous positive impact. Sentence 27. I hate it when meetings run over, meaning they go beyond their scheduled time, especially when they could have been resolved in half the time. Sentence 28. I work best when I'm given clear guidelines and autonomy, meaning the freedom to make my own decisions about how I do my work. Sentence 29. I find working from home incredibly productive for deep, focused tasks, but I miss the spontaneous conversations you get in an office environment. Spontaneous means happening naturally without being planned. Sentence 30. I always try to leave work on time rather than staying late unnecessarily, because I've learnt the hard way that burning out helps nobody. Learnt the hard way means learnt through a painful or difficult experience. Burning out means becoming exhausted from overworking. Another example of describing someone else. Layer 1, she works hard. Layer 2, she works hard at everything she does. Layer 3, she works hard at everything she does, which is why she got promoted last year. Layer 4, she works hard at everything she does, which is why she got promoted last year, and honestly, nobody deserves it more. Layer 5, she works hard at everything she does, which is why she got promoted. Nobody deserves it more, because she puts her heart and soul into every project she takes on. Notice how one well-placed idiom, puts her heart and soul into, makes the whole sentence come alive. Come alive means to become vivid, interesting, and full of energy. Idioms are the seasoning of language. They add flavor and personality to what you're saying. Without them, language can taste bland and flat. And notice that this 5-layer sentence uses only simple grammar. Present simple, relative clause with which, and a reason clause with because. Nothing complicated. The complexity comes from the structure, not the grammar. That's actually the secret to C1 speaking, not complicated grammar, but sophisticated sentence architecture. Now let's talk about lunchtime and afternoon sentences. Sentence 31. I usually grab lunch on the go, meaning I buy food and eat it while I'm moving between tasks, because I rarely have a full hour to spare. Sentence 32. My go-to lunch is a supermarket meal deal, the sandwich, crisps, and drink for about £4. Go-to means your default, preferred choice. Sentence 33. I try to go for a short walk after lunch because sitting at a desk all day plays havoc with my back. Plays havoc with means causes serious disruption or damage. Sentence 34. I nip to the coffee shop at about 2:30 for a flat white. And nip is a very British informal verb meaning to go somewhere quickly and briefly. Sentence 35. My afternoon is usually back-to-back meetings, meaning one meeting immediately follows another with no gap in between, which is utterly exhausting. Utterly means completely, absolutely. Sentence 36. I try to batch similar tasks together because switching between different types of work constantly drains my energy and breaks my concentration. Sentence 37. By 4 o'clock I'm running on empty and counting down the minutes to the end of the day. Sentence 38. I find it really hard to focus after 3 in the afternoon, so I try to do creative work in the morning when my brain is at its sharpest.
Sentence 39. I keep a bottle of water on my desk as a reminder to stay hydrated, but I still somehow forget to drink it half the time. Sentence 40. I do a final check of my emails at 5:30, respond to anything urgent, and then I make myself log off, because if I don't, I'll be at my desk until 8 o'clock. Log off means to disconnect from a computer or work system. Urgent means requiring immediate action. Now let's talk about evening dinner. Layer 1. We had dinner. Layer 2. We had dinner together. Layer 3. We had dinner together at our favorite Italian restaurant. Layer 4. We had dinner together at our favorite Italian restaurant, which is tucked away in a little side street in the city center. Layer 5. We had dinner at our favorite Italian restaurant, tucked away in a side street, and we ended up staying for 3 hours, just talking and laughing. It was one of those evenings that flies by. Tucked away means hidden or located in a quiet, less obvious spot. Fly by means time passes very quickly, usually because you're enjoying yourself. We can also say, time flies, or, the hours flew by. Sentence 41. We had one of those conversations that just flows naturally, no awkward silences, jumping from one topic to another effortlessly. Flows naturally means progresses smoothly without effort. Effortlessly means without effort. Sentence 42. We split the bill, meaning each person paid their share, which is completely normal between friends in the UK, even if it takes ages sorting out who owes what. Split the bill means divide the cost between everyone. Sentence 43. The food was absolutely incredible, the kind of meal that you keep thinking about for days afterwards, which doesn't happen often enough. That sentence has 3 layers: what it was, what you kept doing, and a comment about frequency. Sentence 44. I get home, kick off my shoes, literally and figuratively, and immediately change into something comfortable. Kick off literally means remove shoes with a kick. Figuratively means leave stress and formality behind. Sentence 45. I cook something simple during the week because, by the time I get in from work, I'm absolutely shattered. Shattered means extremely tired. Sentence 46. I scroll through Netflix for about 20 minutes trying to decide what to watch. The decision itself takes longer than most of the shows. This is called decision fatigue, and fatigue means extreme tiredness, including mental tiredness from making too many decisions. Sentence 47. I try to put my phone down at least an hour before bed, even though I'm not always great at sticking to that. Stick to something means consistently follow or adhere to it. Sentence 48. I wind down in the evening by reading, and wind down means to gradually relax and reduce activity, like a music box slowly coming to a stop. Sentence 49. I go to bed at around 10:30. Even though my body clock would happily keep me up until midnight if I let it. Your body clock, also called your circadian rhythm, is your natural, internal sense of when to sleep and wake. Sentence 50. I lie awake for about 15 minutes running through everything I didn't get done, which is a rather unpleasant habit I keep trying to break. Running through something means mentally reviewing or going over something quickly. Sentence 51. I keep a notepad by my bed so that if I think of something important, I can write it down instead of letting it spiral into full-blown anxiety at midnight. Spiral into means gradually develop into something worse.
Now same method, more sophisticated vocabulary. Layer 1. I find it hard to switch off. Layer 2. I find it hard to switch off at the end of the day. Layer 3. I find it increasingly difficult to switch off at the end of the day, particularly after a demanding week. Layer 4. I find it increasingly difficult to switch off, particularly after a demanding week, which I suspect is a consequence of blurring the boundary between work and personal time. Layer 5. I find it increasingly difficult to switch off, particularly after a demanding week, which I suspect is a consequence of blurring the boundary between work and personal time, something that, if I'm perfectly candid, I haven't yet managed to address effectively. Candid means honest and open, even about uncomfortable truths. Address an issue means deal with or tackle a problem. Blurring the boundary means making the distinction between two things less clear. Consequence means a result or outcome of something. Sentence 54. On Saturday mornings I have a lie-in, meaning I stay in bed longer than usual, and it is hands down the best part of my week. Hands down means without any doubt or competition, clearly and definitively. Sentence 55. I go to the farmer's market on Saturday morning to pick up fresh produce, even though it's always absolutely rammed. Rammed means extremely crowded, British slang. Sentence 56. I ring my parents every Sunday evening without fail, and, without fail, means always, consistently, never missing it. Sentence 57. We have a family tradition of a big Sunday roast, and honestly, nothing in the world compares to sitting around the table with your family over a good meal. Sentence 58. I use the weekend to recharge my batteries. An idiom borrowed from technology, meaning to rest and restore your energy for the week ahead. Sentence 59. I try to do something active at the weekend, whether that's a hike, a bike ride, or at least a long walk, because I spend so much time sedentary during the week. Sedentary means inactive, sitting down for long periods. Sentence 60. I meal prep on Sundays, meaning I cook and prepare food in advance for the week, which saves time and stops me reaching for takeaway when I'm tired. Reaching for means instinctively choosing something for convenience. Sentence 61. I try to disconnect from social media for at least one day at the weekend, which feels liberating. Liberating, meaning giving you a wonderful sense of freedom. Sentence 62. I always feel a slight pang of dread on Sunday evening when I think about Monday morning, and a pang is a sudden sharp feeling, usually of emotion like guilt or sadness. Sentence 63. I've started treating Sunday evenings as preparation time rather than pre-Monday dread, which has completely changed my relationship with the start of the week. Now let's talk about feelings. Layer 1. I feel stressed. Layer 2. I feel stressed about the presentation. Layer 3. I feel stressed about the presentation, even though I've prepared thoroughly. Layer 4. I feel stressed about the presentation, even though I've prepared thoroughly, which tells me it's more about self-doubt than actual ability. Layer 5. I feel stressed about the presentation, even though I've prepared thoroughly, and if I'm being honest with myself, it's less about ability and more about an irrational fear of being judged. Irrational means not based on logic or reason, the opposite of rational. Being judged means having others form negative opinions about you. Sentence 64. I get butterflies in my stomach whenever I have to speak in front of a group. Butterflies in your stomach describes that nervous, fluttery feeling you get before something scary or exciting. Sentence 65. Once I get going, though, the nerves settle and I find my stride. Find your stride means reach a comfortable, confident rhythm. Sentence 66. The nerves are actually quite useful in small doses. In small doses meaning a little bit at a time, because they keep me sharp and focused. Keep me sharp means keep me mentally alert and performing well.
Now I will give you few social life sentences used in daily life. Sentence 67. I try to meet up with friends at least once a week, otherwise I start to feel a bit cut off from the world. Meet up means get together socially. Cut off means isolated or disconnected. Sentence 68. We've got a group chat that absolutely never stops pinging. It's both a blessing and a curse. A blessing and a curse means something with both positive and negative aspects simultaneously. Sentence 69. My friends and I have a monthly catch-up, meaning a casual meeting where you update each other on your lives, and it's something I genuinely look forward to. Sentence 70. I'm quite an introvert at heart, so I need time alone to recharge after socializing, no matter how much I enjoyed the company. At heart means deep down, in your true nature. An introvert is someone who gets energy from being alone rather than from social interaction. Sentence 71. I tend to bite off more than I can chew when it comes to making plans, meaning I take on more social commitments than I can realistically manage. Bite off more than you can chew means take on more than you can handle. Sentence 72. I've learned to say no more often, which sounds simple but was actually a massive deal for me personally. A massive deal means something very significant or important. Sentence 73. I'm the kind of person who shows up early to everything, which my friends find both endearing and baffling in equal measure. Endearing means causing affection, making you seem lovable. Baffling means completely confusing and impossible to understand. Sentence 74. I value quality time over quantity. Spending genuinely meaningful time with a few people matters far more to me than seeing lots of people briefly. Sentence 75. I find small talk painfully awkward, which is ironic given that I work in a job that involves communicating with people all day. Ironic means contrary to what you'd expect, amusingly contradictory. Sentence 76. I'm always the last one to leave a party because I hate saying goodbye. Which, according to my therapist, says something quite revealing about my personality. Now let's talk about few health sentences used daily. Sentence 77. I try to get 8 hours of sleep, but I rarely pull it off. Pull something off means successfully achieve something, especially something difficult. Sentence 78. I've been going to the gym on and off for years, on and off meaning not consistently, sometimes doing it and sometimes not, and I'm determined that this time it'll actually stick. Stick here equals become a lasting habit. Sentence 79. I drink far too much coffee and nowhere near enough water, which I know is slowly taking its toll on my health. Taking its toll means causing gradual damage or harm over time, a truly excellent idiom. Sentence 80. I've started doing 10 minutes of mindfulness meditation each morning, and while I was skeptical at first, I have to admit it actually makes a noticeable difference. Skeptical means doubting, not easily convinced. Sentence 81. I try to cook from scratch at least a few times a week rather than relying on ready meals. From scratch means from raw ingredients, from the very beginning without any pre-made elements. Sentence 82. I've been cutting down on sugar. Cut down on is a phrasal verb meaning to gradually reduce the amount of something. Sentence 83. I walk wherever possible instead of taking the car, partly for my health and partly for the environment, although I'll be honest, it's mostly because parking is an absolute nightmare. An absolute nightmare means a very difficult or frustrating experience. Sentence 84. I've started keeping a gratitude journal, a diary where I write 3 things I'm thankful for each day, and it genuinely shifts my mindset in a positive direction. Shift your mindset means change your way of thinking. Sentence 85. I think mental health is just as important as physical health, and I wish that had been something I'd understood much earlier in life. Sentence 86. I try to spend at least 20 minutes outside every day, even when the weather is grim. And grim means dark, unpleasant, and depressing, often used to describe British weather. Now let's talk about shopping and errands sentences used daily. Sentence 87. I do a big weekly shop on Saturday morning and it always takes longer than expected because I get sidetracked. Get sidetracked means be distracted from your original purpose. Sentence 88. I always write a shopping list but forget half the things on it anyway, which defeats the whole point. Defeats the whole point means cancels out the benefit or purpose. Sentence 89. I hate queuing. That's British English for waiting in a line, but there's an unspoken social contract in Britain that you simply must queue patiently, no matter how long it takes. Unspoken social contract means rules everyone follows without them ever being formally stated. Sentence 90. I'm a sucker for a good deal, meaning I'm easily tempted by bargains, unable to resist them. A sucker for something means someone who can't resist a particular thing. Sentence 91. I tend to overthink small purchases, reading reviews for 20 minutes before buying something that costs £3. I'm fully aware this is slightly absurd. Absurd means ridiculous, unreasonable. Sentence 92. I try to support local businesses where possible, even if it costs a little more, because I think it genuinely matters for the community. Sentence 93. I've started buying second-hand clothes rather than fast fashion, partly for environmental reasons and partly because vintage pieces have so much more character. Character here means distinctive, interesting personality or quality. Sentence 94. I do the majority of my shopping online these days, which is convenient but somehow I always end up spending more than I intended. Sentence 95. I make a conscious effort to compare prices before buying anything significant. Conscious effort meaning something you do deliberately and intentionally. Sentence 96. I always feel a small but genuine rush of satisfaction when something I ordered online arrives earlier than expected. It's a small thing, but it genuinely makes my day. Makes my day means is the highlight of your day, makes you very happy.
Now let's talk about technology sentences used daily. Sentence 97. My phone is basically an extension of my arm at this point. I use it so constantly it feels like part of my body. Sentence 98. I get sucked into YouTube rabbit holes late at night. A rabbit hole being a situation where you go deeper and deeper into something, losing track of time completely. Lose track of time means forget what time it is because you're absorbed in something. Sentence 99. I've started using focus mode on my phone during working hours, because without it I'm completely all over the place. All over the place means disorganized, distracted, unable to concentrate. Sentence 100. At the end of the day, both literally and figuratively, what matters most is that I've made progress, looked after myself, and found at least one moment to be genuinely grateful for. At the end of the day, as an idiom means, ultimately, when everything is considered. It's different from the literal meaning of the end of your waking hours. And that, listeners, is all 100 sentences. 100 opportunities to practice the snowball technique and build your spoken English confidence. Challenge time for listeners. Pause the podcast right now and build this starter sentence into 5 layers before pressing play again. Your starter. I have a routine. Go.
Before we go, here's a message for our listeners. This is how you can practice daily. Step 1. Every morning, pick one sentence from our 100 or your own life and layer it 5 times. Speak aloud. 2 minutes. Do this for 30 days and you will notice a dramatic difference in your fluency and confidence. I guarantee it, and guarantee means I promise this with complete certainty. Step 2. Use 2 idioms from today in real life this week. In a conversation, a message, a voice note. Using an idiom in genuine context cements it in your memory. Cements means fixes permanently, like cement fixing bricks. Let's wrap it up, meaning bring everything to a conclusion. Today we covered the snowball layering technique and the science behind why it works, 100 everyday sentences across 6 daily routine topics, 9 full layering demonstrations, 40 plus idioms and phrases with full explanations. Start small. Start with, I drink coffee. Layer it 5 times. Then tomorrow, pick another sentence. Before you know it, meaning very soon and without even realizing it, you'll be producing rich, confident, natural C1 English that surprises even yourself. The language you need is already inside you. The snowball technique just gives it permission to grow. Follow us wherever you listen. Leave us a review if you're enjoying the show. Reviews mean the world to us and help other learners find us. Subscribe to receive notification of our next episode. Until next time, keep rolling that snowball. Happy speaking, everyone. Bye.